My feet touch. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Appreciate you standing up and removing your hats and joining us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Marguerite.
White is absent. Tiley?
Yes.
Newman?
Here.
Rowe?
Here.
Dennis?
Here.
McPhail?
Here.
Coots is absent.
Okay, everybody turn on your microphones. Okay, are there any adjustments, Matt, to the agenda?
There are no adjustments.
Okay, at this time in our agenda, there is public comment. Anybody have public comment? Could you please stand and tell us your name?
I'm Chad Flory. I'm president of the St. Charles Area Health Center here in St. Charles. I'm here in response to our front page news. As some of you may have already read, that Saginaw County Department of Public Health is planning to pull the services from the rural clinics, including St. Charles. And I just wanted to briefly come through, let you folks know we don't have a lot of details as to what's going to happen with our clinic. In particular, then we're going to continue to do blood pressure services here locally. As far as what we're going to do with the building, we're not certain yet. Now that we've got our official letter from SCDPH, we can now proceed and meet locally here to find out what our options are and what our plan will be. We will be reviewing our bylaws in the coming months and probably dissolve our corporation eventually. I do not have a final date from the health department yet as to when they will be done. I could speculate that it might be sometime in December, but again, I don't know for sure. But the board meeting, our board members in September did decide if this did happen that we would continue blood pressure services. We would probably look for another location here locally in St. Charles and hopefully expand services with a new location. I'm not quite sure at this point what our plans are with the building though. And I will be coming back to the council and giving you updates as we figure out more things here coming up. We were quite surprised, but not real shocked because they've been kind of positioning themselves to do this for a few years, and we've been kind of preparing ourselves for the last couple of years.
If we pay you for the people that come for the services, plus we give you, we budgeted extra for you, what is your extras then? What is, if we give you money for the people that come in,
Right.
what is the problem?
Well, it's not really a problem with our clinic. It is a problem with the county budget and what they ended up doing. And we've had some issues in the last couple of years with staffing at the main health department. Our service has been locally the free blood pressure clinic. That is what we have volunteers for. That's why we can continue to provide that service. Even though health department's going to pull out, they're not going to send staff out. They're not going to send their supplies out to the clinic. It's become a staffing issue with them over the years, a budget issue. They have made some big cuts to their budget and have restructured. And in lieu of that, they will not have the availability to send staff out to St. Charles, to Chesney, to Birch Run to provide those services any longer.
So that takes care of WICs.
Takes care of our WIC,
Shots.
and our immunizations will be closed up. And they did this to us with our dental services. They pulled out dental services a few years ago. They pulled out of St. Charles back in 2013, so we had a decline in services. We've continued to have a decline in services here locally, but all the clinics have shown a decline. It's probably the economy, folks are moving away, relocating, but we have had declines in services.
So are they just concentrating services in Saginaw
In
then?
Saginaw, they are going to regroup, restructure their services that they're providing there locally at 1600 North Michigan, and we will have to continue.
Where do they get their funding?
through state, through local, through taxpayers here. WIC is a federal program, so they get a lot of funds through federal. And then it's through the Board of Commissioners, they kind of develop.
But they're not
their
going,
budget.
they're pulling out of Clio, Frankenmuth, everywhere that there's,
They're pulling out of our office here, Chesnane and Birch
And
Run.
Birch.
and leaving it in the major,
Correct.
it seems like it's more of an inner city,
They're
let the rural
consolidating.
communities pay the taxes and the budget for the inner city.
Correct.
So I would say that why don't we get together with all these other communities and find out who pays the bills and what we can do to pull them back in, because I have no problem supporting the inner city, I have no problem, but as long as we can support our own too.
Right.
I don't want my tax dollars going anywhere, Flint, Detroit, Saginaw, I want them to stay here,
Right, and the folks you need to talk to are your commissioners.
all right?
And Kyle Harris is our local commissioner here.
Yep. All right.
Do you get money from them, or are you just into
No.
their budget?
No,
Okay,
what we do is we provide them the facility. We don't
Okay.
charge them for the use of the
so
facility.
you own the building?
We own the building.
Okay,
We do not own their equipment. They
okay,
bring their equipment out to the agency, they set it up, they schedule their appointments. We allow them to come use the facility so that we have services here locally for our residents.
okay, and the money that we give you and
Is
Brant
from-
gives you, or whatever,
They
that
track-
yearly thing, does that pay for your heat and,
That goes in
electricity
our
and
general fund
goes
to
to
pay
your
for
budget.
our maintenance of our building, any
Okay.
improvements, long.
and you can't
guaranteed.
afford to run it without their stuff?
Right, we wouldn't be able to afford to run it on just our blood pressure clinic alone.
Okay,
Right.
Is there anything that has to do with the election year?
No, I think because it's been a continuum problem in the last few years with public health, with managed care, with the Obamacare, everything that has kind of spiraled, it has now come to that point, and that's kind of where we have been looking at, reviewing our bylaws, because we know the day will come, it just was when.
Which is ridiculous, and it just makes no sense, because with Obamacare, it always comes down to that, but Obamacare was supposed to provide for everyone.
Right.
And now that they're cutting it, it was always there before Obamacare. I mean, we ran for how many years before Obamacare was in place? And now that that's kind of going the wayside,
Right.
and there's no
Well-
fun, they're pulling everything else out and using that as the excuse.
Right, and part of that is, with managed care, they have forced a lot of the public insurance, your Medicaid, have to get a primary care physician, and that is where you have to go. The freestanding public clinics, like we have been for years, are going to the wayside, because they want you to go to your primary care physician. That's where they want you to go. They don't want you to go get your immunization at the local clinic, and we've been fighting with trying to keep a flu clinic here, and we can't compete against the Walgreens, the Myers, the Krogers that are having anytime, 24/7, you go in and get your flu shot, or whatever their pharmacy hours are. We can't compete to that. And then trying to get all the available immunizations locally, because some of those costs, we can't get the quantity to be able to do that, but a lot of your large, big box stores can.
But the purpose of our clinic is for those that can't travel,
That's
mostly for those
primarily-
that can't travel to Saginaw, to
Right.
Clio,
That has been
to
our goal.
Owasso.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is to keep it local, because we deal with a lot of children that come in with, they have immunizations, they have anxiety enough to go into that large building there, to get up on the 5th floor where you have all kinds of people in the WIC office, all kinds of people in immunizations waiting. It's anxious. I mean, they get
Sure.
very anxious, where it's a little more comforting to come into a smaller town. It's localized, you don't have to drive all the way into Saginaw, especially with some of our folks out in Southwest County, where they may not have reliable transportation, but can get to St. Charles or can get to Chesnane, but maybe not so far into North Michigan, so.
Right,
I mean, that's
exactly.
what our goal has been, is to try and keep those services here as long as we could. So,
Well, we appreciate what time you have been here.
Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate the support from our townships, and the folks here at the village have been wonderful, and we do appreciate everything that you have done for us.
Thank
I
you.
know, but it is a shame, because
is.
Yeah.
people in
It
the
is.
outlying area, they won't go to Saginaw.
No, I think
It's
you're
not
gonna
that they
see
can't
another
get there,
decline in
they
the
just won't
immunizations.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
I will return with any more details as I
Okay,
go.
okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a
Kathy?
question? Is there any chance that possibly they could regroup and like Chesney and St. Charles going together? Would they consider anything like that or no?
What I've talked with Chris about is they would like to someday have a medical bus and bring them to the communities around. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It's very expensive to acquire a bus, to equip the bus, and then you have to try and find strategic places throughout the county.
Yeah.
It's gonna be years down the road before I could see them bringing a bus in. And then you've got competition from the Great Lakes Bay Health Agency, where they already have their medical buses going out, they already have their dental buses going out and setting up here around us, so
Do you own the building outright?
we own the building.
No mortgage or anything, that you own it?
No, we
What about
own it.
Chesnay?
I'm not sure, I believe that they may own their.
They own theirs?
They own theirs.
Yeah.
So really, there's just taxes
Mhm.
on those buildings. I
Well,
mean, there's no,
And your utilities and the
Right.
maintenance, right?
Well, and they need the equipment.
Yeah,
well, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, but,
Right.
but
Medicine and
as far as
nurse.
sending a bus out, equipping a bus, buying and equipping a bus to come out here,
Oh,
you already
can sell
own the
two
facility.
places and get one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you already own one,
and the medicine and nurse.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they tried to think it all through.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so.
Yes, today.
Thank you.
I'd like to see that.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir. Stand up and tell us your name, please.
I'm all set, I'm talking about. I was wondering if you guys could start putting the minutes of the meetings on the website. You guys haven't, I've requested that numerous times, and
We do.
the last one is March.
We'll update them.
You told me that before.
And we do.
You missed an April,
Did they put theirs on?
May, June, July, August. Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir. Tell us your name, please.
Don Tome. I was wondering if there's been any consideration with our police department increasing the hours to a 24/7, or at least increasing some of the hours of patrol. I mean, there's been a lot of additional movement out here from the city, bringing a lot of problems. I was wondering if the council has considered maybe increasing the hours for their patrol.
We did that.
We have, I would love to have 24/7. I would love to have 24/7 and hire on at least 2 more full-time officers. I would. There's
I
just
know.
not, it's just not in the budget.
Financially, it's not.
Yeah, there's just no way. We were not gaining in tax base, we're losing right now. So, I would love to have an officer in the school. I've made that comment numerous times up here at the council. I'd love 24/7 coverage. We just can't. It's just not possible with what we have. So we have to rely on the state and the county patrols and cooperation with the surrounding communities. We do.
Thank you. Kenny?
Something I don't understand. 50 years ago, we had the same amount of people in this area, around 7,200, 2,000. And we had one cop, part-time. He worked in the factory, that lawyer. And then he put in time, nights afterwards. We didn't have the problem that we have now. Now we have 5 or 6 police. We have the sheriff department. We have the state police every time we turn around in time. We have people running around breaking into places, robbing, stealing, tearing up places, whatever. I think if we take all the Sanders County and put them here, I think we have the same thing going on. Something isn't being done right.
Are you talking 50 years ago or 15, did you say?
50,
Think back 50 years ago,
that's
Ken.
right, Bob Myers,
Think back 50 years ago.
that's right, I will.
Think what was going on 50 years ago.
Right. What was going on 50 years ago?
parents took care of their kids 50 years ago. The kids worked more 50 years ago. There wasn't the things available to kids 50 years ago. They weren't running the streets 50 years ago. Just think about what happened 50 years ago. Put yourself there and put yourself now, Ken. Things have totally changed 50 years ago to now.
Well,
I
we might have been running the streets a little. But,
We were, but we
weren't
weren't
toilet
doing
papering.
what
We
what
were
was
toilet
done
papering
then.
things. We weren't doing bad things.
Things weren't,
When you want to hire another 100 cats, you didn't get
It
a
was
lot, we
different.
got half a cent cats here now, they got to stay there.
okay, all right.
Somebody needs to take care of business. I don't care what. If you can't hit the kids, then hit the kids. There ain't no reason why they can't spend time in jail.
Understand, Ken. I understand.
I hope you do.
I do. I understand where you're coming from. Any other public comments? Okay, I'll move on. Council minutes for September 12th. Any questions on those?
Did we get a 1-year extension for the contract? Did that come through?
It did, yeah. I thought I sent it to you in an email.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yes. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Is he working on a contract then? I mean, it says here to negotiate and create a new contract by February 1st. That's coming up.
Yeah, I think, so we did the 1-year extension,
Mm-hmm.
and then, he's not working on I thought that
Are
was
we
what-
gonna work on it?
That's what I thought.
Okay. What
Yeah.
committee is that?
The personnel committee could do it, or you could establish.
Is that you, Jim?
Yeah. Yep.
Should
you-
we get that started?
We can, yeah. We wanna,
Okay.
I was waiting for everybody to
It's
be
you
here.
and who and who?
Deanne, she's not here and
Yeah.
I was hoping to discuss that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the third?
Me.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the only question I have.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the council minutes for September 12th.
I make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve September 12th, council minutes.
I'll support.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Communications. A thank you letter from Region 7 Area Agency on Aging.
She was really nice, but she forgot we were a village.
Many people do.
Uh-huh.
Any questions on that? We'll go on to B, Saginaw County Parks Fall Calendar.
You know, it seems on these calendars, I've noticed that what was his name that used to call the owls? Out in Ringwood. He used to go out there all the time. Wood? Was that his name?
Oh,
He passed away a few years back. What was his name?
Clay?
Clay. And back then, I mean, it hasn't been that long ago, but we used to have Ringwood on here at least 3-4 times a month. And it seems like nobody's doing anything at any of the parks anymore.
Well, they're having a
Cider
cider
and
and
donut
donut hike.
Yeah, I see that. But there was a lot more in all the parks. But Ringwood was always on here 3 or 4 times.
I'm guessing it's another budget cut.
I'm thinking.
And you know what? There's a new person running Parks and Rec for Saginaw County, isn't there?
There is.
The one guy left. He was really gung-ho and good. I can't even tell you who the new one is.
Any questions? Okay, we'll go on to C, which is PA 202, Annual Report Submissions.
And this is just a hard copy of the email that I sent. Public Act 202 requires that I submit it to council electronically, but I know that council's textile, so that's just a hard copy version. I know it's kind of hard to read, but that's the form they send us to use.
That's our report back to them, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And it shows that we're right where we're supposed to be,
We are, actually.
which is not fantastic, but it's right where we're supposed to be. Okay.
And it is due to the stuff that we've been doing over the last few years, so it's a good
Have you
sign.
noticed in other statements from other communities how they're having such a hard time even giving up any money to try to catch up their fund? It's amazing.
We were actually the first community in Saginaw County to have our action plan approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them don't even want to do one.
It's difficult.
I
And
mean,
we're-
they don't want to put the money out there.
Yeah. I think we are lucky in terms of the position that we have been in for the last 20 years, but a lot of other places can't come up with the money that you guys have come up with, so it's a good sign.
Okay, payment of claims.
The first thing on there, what is that? Reinvest funds.
That's moving money from one bank to another to get a better interest rate,
Okay.
or to liquidate cash because we had to spend money on the industrial park, or that's just freeing up money.
Do you think
And
that was pulling money out for the industrial park?
I don't think
Because
that one was.
it looks like it went to,
And actually, Marguerite does that, so she can tell
all right,
you.
Marguerite.
Once we receive in the tax money, I have to, for the FDIC, I like to keep it under the two.
Yeah.
So I move it into different banks where I don't have that much money.
Okay. So on here, should I see a bank that you moved it to?
You would see it like if you look at the,
The
well,
cash
this one,
balances?
this one says it went to Mercantile, that, if you're talking about the very first one.
Yeah,
The next one, and that was with the way the bank wanted us to word it, because I initially had it made out to Mercantile Bank, is why you see it that way.
Yeah.
They don't like that. They want it to be made out to the Village of St. Charles. So now when we're making out the check, we make, because it's being deposited into our account.
okay.
So it's being made out to the Village of St. Charles and then care of Mercantile
Oh,
Bank.
because you voided the first one.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
I see it.
Yep, and then there was more that went to Citizens Bank. And I think there'll be some more in the next month.
Okay. So you're just putting it back out in $200,000 increments again?
Right.
Okay. I knew that.
And for those of you who don't know, the FDIC limit is $250,000, so we have to keep money in like 14 different banks to keep our money insured.
Any other questions? Diane?
I make a motion, no,
Okay.
I make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $532,286.81.
I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, we'll move on to new business. MML liability on property pool board election.
This is kind of a symbolic vote that the council makes as a member of the MML liability and property pool. There's 2 spots, 2 votes, and 2 candidates. So, and they're both already on the board, so, you could write someone in if you want to, but we would probably be the only vote for them. But it's kind of a symbolic thing, so, council just has to vote to submit their 2 votes for each person, and then I submit a little blue ticket back to the MML.
Is that something that you have to make a motion for, or?
So how long is there, when they're voted in, how long are they on there for? Is it indefinite? Or until somebody runs against them?
I think they're
I
on
tried
a
to find it.
rotating basis over so many years, aren't they?
term.
Beginning on January 1st.
Okay.
And these are just municipal people on it, right?
Yeah, it's typically the MML likes to get the elected officials involved, so it's these are both mayors of cities. in this
And
state.
look, we had Clarks in this town and we had Zelinkos in this town, so how can they go wrong?
Yeah,
They don't spell it the same way.
yeah.
I make a motion, we vote for these two people.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? That passes. Okay, B, public hearing for annexation of 1221 North Saginaw Street.
So as you guys know, we've been going through the process of annexing Mary Helen Lenhart's property, which is Cecil Sopansky's old house. They had some trouble with their septic tank, and they need to become part of the village in order to get sewer. And so she submitted a request to the village and to Swan Creek Township to allow that to take place. She actually lives on that parcel, which is contiguous to the village, and she actually owns the other parcel that's in the village. So this is sort of a no-brainer. Swan Creek Township had their public hearing and approved their resolution on Monday, and this is the first step in getting it to the county. So council would hopefully approve the resolution, and then the next thing is to petition the county on her behalf.
And her mother's house is for sale right now? It is? How big is that? Is that just, that has nothing to do with the other lot then?
Oh, no,
Her
this is
aunt.
on, just,
Or it's her aunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's her aunt, and she has, she owns that lot, and it has nothing to do with this lot.
Yep.
This is the lot beside that house.
Right, so she
It runs
owns-
up to the other house.
The empty one on the corner.
Yeah, and her aunt owns straight back.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think just as far as Woodlawn goes, though, just as far as everybody else does.
Okay.
And so this is just a public hearing to hear any comments that the folks in the community might have on that matter.
Do you want me to make a motion to open the public hearing?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now open. Do we have any comments from the public on this?
Is there anybody that doesn't know what's going on with this?
Is there anybody here from,
I don't see anybody.
No comments from this motion?
And she knows the cost that she's gonna incur.
She is aware, yeah. Marguerite's worked
I
with
know
her.
Mark
to-
talked to her.
Yeah.
Marguerite's worked with her on a financial analysis. She understands the implications of having new taxes to pay.
Yeah.
She understands the implications of basically creating a giant yard, because
Yeah.
once she puts the sewer line,
she can't do anything with
she cannot build or sell that as
Is
a
she gonna
separate
take out those
parcel.
trees?
Not necessarily. I think she's working with Ray Walker. They're gonna do some runs that go up and down, so
Those are really nice trees.
they are nice trees.
Yeah. They are.
That corner lot actually is very
beautiful.
park-like.
Yeah,
it's really
it
nice.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But to my understanding, she is aware of the consequences of annexing into the village
We have to have a roll call
in the
vote.
event.
I have
They'll
no
close it.
problem with
None of
this.
this.
Does anybody
None of
else?
We have to close the public
No,
hearing.
you close the public hearing
Okay.
and then you do the resolution.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye?
Opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed.
I make a motion, we pass resolution number 18-16 for the annexation of the property located, I think it's on Saginaw Street.
1221 North
1221 North Saginaw Street.
I'll second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Opposed?
Aye.
Pass the resolution.
Now, do we have to do something with this petition?
Sorry to interrupt. The resolution that our attorney drafted has a count of, I think it has, it doesn't.
Oh, it does.
It
Yeah,
does
it
have
does.
ayes and nays, so I would
Yep.
suggest a roll call vote.
Yeah. On this one, don't we have to, resolution number 18-16?
So we need A's and nays.
Yep.
Yes and no.
We have to have a roll call vote.
Tiley,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yay.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail.
Yes.
2 are absent. And the next step in this is it's not a resolution, but we treat it sort of similarly. It's a petition to the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners to review and approve the annexation. So that's the next thing, and it's very similar. You
Do
just-
we make a motion to present the petition to the
Yes.
Saginaw County?
Yes.
I make a motion, we present the petition for annexation to the Saginaw County Board of Commissioners. And
I'll
you can
second.
fill in the parcel number and stuff, Marguerite.
Jim seconded. All in favor?
But
Aye.
I think this
Aye.
one's a roll call too.
Yeah, oh, okay.
It is,
Roll call vote.
yeah.
Tiley,
Yay.
Newman,
Yes.
Rowe,
Okay.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail.
Yes.
Done with that one? All set? Okay, our next one is set trick or treat hours. And Matt has suggested that we stick with what we had last year, and that was from 5:30 to 7:30 on Wednesday, October 31st.
That was a good time. You need a motion on that? Any discussion? I'm sorry.
That's all right, Diane.
Go ahead.
We all ready to set the time? Okay, do we need a motion on it, or just go ahead and set it?
One thing on this, for the chief, last year, over by the bank on Hosmer Road right there, we had several cars. I don't know if you've noticed, we have like 50 people sitting out in front of my yard. And there, for the first time, we had cars that were trying to cut around
No kidding.
and drive through the parade. Just so you know, I've never had that before, but last year, and they were angry at everybody that there was a parade.
A Halloween parade?
The homecoming and everything
Oh,
going on.
But this is trick or
This-
treating.
but the trick or treating, I was gonna say, they did the same thing.
Oh, did we have a Halloween parade?
No,
Oh.
I was talking about the parade, but on Halloween, they did the same, and seems like it was the same people that live around there in that area. And they just don't like the kids, they don't like the parades, they just seemed like they were angry that everybody was on the road.
We'll have the officers at night give it a.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen that before, but they were like angry that kids were walking across the sidewalks and, yeah, out into the road, and both times, and it was the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was informed yesterday that after I bought all of this candy, because on Woodlawn we have this horrendous
Yeah.
crowd of people, that it's the same nights as the district volleyball tournaments, to which my granddaughter plays in, so
Oh, no.
I'll be bringing candy every week here for the next 2-3 years.
You're gonna get your house egged.
I don't know. But the
Just sit it out on the
districts,
porch.
the districts are here for 3 days, so there'll be a lot of people in that area. They're coming from all over, so.
Sit it on the porch.
Just seems the busier it
I
gets,
will.
the
I'll
more
just set it
traffic
out there and let 'em
people wanna
take it.
cut traffic and everything.
I'll say
Yeah.
after report.
First one takes it off, they can have it.
Chris,
Just leave the
I'll
ball.
say after report.
Okay, that's the deal.
Okay, if we don't need anything special for this, we'll just leave it at this time then. Okay, trick or treat time, 5:30 to 7:30. Okay, next on the agenda is department reports. We'll do DPW, Spicer Engineering, Police Department, Building Inspector, and Code Enforcement. Any questions on those?
No, Don, everything going well?
Ken cannot speak until it's time at the end, public comment. Don?
I said, Don, is everything going well?
We're moving along, we're getting equipment ready for, winter, and we're starting to winterize, hydrants. We're busy.
I saw some, I figured that's what you were doing.
Well, we've been checking the chlorine residual too lately. We've had,
Okay.
the warm water's kind of giving us issues, so.
It's a nice report, Don.
To the point. It's right to the point. You don't do any jabbering.
Mhm.
I try not. That's not my strong point.
No.
He does all his jabbering in person.
Does he? He used to. Yeah. Well, with the police report, what is happening with all of the break-ins and stuff?
I just got a warrant on one of them, for a suspect, and I think it's pretty much all the same people. It's just a question of getting the evidence to prove it.
Now, were there quite a few at the golf course?
There's been, I think, 5 burglaries at the golf course
Okay.
since July. I don't think they're all by the same people, but I think the recent ones are. Plus
Okay.
Plus the one at Sitco.
All in the middle of the night?
Yep.
Facebook is helping,
Uh,
or no?
Not really, but it's good to have the input. We're putting under, I recovered GPS today. We're trying to get someone to bring us in a cord so we can power it up and see what the address is in Magellan. And I tried to use the power cord we had here. And my wife told me that with these GPSs, you gotta have a specific cord for that Magellan cord or whatever.
Yeah.
Or something, so, hopefully we'll get something with that, I can power it up. I, did a search on it in P1, looking for Magellan's missing, and there was one taken 3 days ago up in Bay County, and I'd be really surprised if this is the one, but I showed her pictures of it today, and she says, it might be. But I think that's a little bit outside of these kids' perimeters, but you never know.
Right.
You never know.
Any other questions on any of these reports?
Nope.
I would point out the building inspector's report is over $3,000,
Yeah.
mostly
Noticed that.
because of the renovation at McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah. They're putting $350,000 into renovating that building.
Really?
Yes.
That's good.
Do you know when it's gonna be done?
Their timeline was like roughly 8 weeks, something to that effect. And they started, I think the building permit was approved last week, and they started like the day after Rob signed it, so they're moving along.
It looks like the fire department's starting to do something on that building, huh?
They are, they're renovating the inside.
Okay. Did they get rid of all the stuff they had for sale?
They did a auction. I think they did it online because they had to do something public, and then I think the rest of the guys just kind of went through it and auctioned it off between themselves afterwards. I don't know
Okay.
for sure, but now we made sure that they had a plan. We didn't want anything done until they had a solid plan of what they were going to do inside, what it was going to be used for.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did salvage some of the metal shelves to use at the DPW, so they helped us out with that, so Don can get organized out there, so.
More shelves.
Yeah, we donated about a half dozen nice metal shelves.
Okay.
Yeah, it should look nice when they're done.
It's always good to have, yeah.
It should.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Huh?
Yeah, Neil?
Huh?
He's sitting back there pretending he doesn't belong to Spicer's right now, but.
Oh.
Hi,
Spices.
Neil Novak with Spicer Group. Just a few updates, I guess, as the industrial park is closed on Mid-State Earthworks contract is completed. We do have, last Tuesday did get a quote from consumers for the additional lights, and now we're kind of working with them to get them installed. Also, we're putting together a preliminary estimate of cost for the, potential extension of, water and sanitary sewer to a property that's about 3 lots south of the village limit on Testing Street.
If we have somebody who wants to annex for water and sewer, and we're just giving them ballpark quotes so they can decide whether or not they want to pay for it.
Tell them first,
Yeah.
yes.
And I think that's about all I have, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
so those lights might be up like before Christmas?
Next week.
Oh, okay.
They actually sent us advance notice last week, and we did the misdig this week, right, Don?
Yep.
Okay.
For the fourth time, but
Yeah, for the 4th time.
I've driven through a couple times. It's really nice to have that road all the way around now.
It is.
It is nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Okay, public comment. Ken.
One thing, a couple of meetings ago, I mentioned about half or better of the village is probably in the flood zone. And I asked if it was possible to get somebody that's familiar with FEMA and that deals with FEMA, like possibly Mulliner out of Midland, that would come out here and explain what really happens with this FEMA insurance, why and how you have to pay it. For instance, like, they talked about the elevation around it. I spent $625 for an elevation survey by Credited flood people. I was above the flood. Then FEMA changed their mind and says, well, you got skirting around the house. I said, of course, it's in the flood zone. Well, your first floor is below. I says, what do you mean the first floor? There is only one floor, and that floor is the one that's above the flood zone. And well, now, when you got dirt around the outside of your house, and I says, that's what you told me to do, to berm around the outside of the house. But now, the ground level underneath the house is your first floor, and the floor of the house is the second floor. I said, you told me to put the dirt there. I said, the dirt is above the flood. Underneath the house is the level of the ground. That's the way it was. That's the way it is. No more from them. So I think a lot of people don't know really what the hell is going on. They go ahead and spend money for different things. They do what FEMA says. Then they keep changing their mind that you're going to pay flood insurance no matter what. And I think we need somebody, and I think Mulliner is the one that handles stuff with FEMA, to get them out here and really explain what goes on with this. If there's a way to possibly getting out of that without moving on the area. That's the one thing. Okay. Another thing is, I think it used to be we had on all of these reports, department reports, we would have a representative from the department that would report to the people really what was happening, what was going on. Our taxes are paid for that. I think we have a right to know. That's another thing. The third thing is, I think this public comment, this is fine. But the thing is, if, it's kind of like, if you've had supper every day at 8 o'clock, and you decide to have it at 5 instead, but you don't get your heated dessert until 8 o'clock. It's cold by the time you get it. So if you've got something going on here that the taxpayers in this community and involves them, I think with a raise of hand and the orderly conduct, these people should be able to speak or ask questions when this is going on and not wait until whoever talked is gone or everything is done with and nobody remembers what happened half hour ago. So I think the way this public comment is being used is ridiculous, and it seems like certain people are allowed to speak out of turn, it's all right, but other people are not. I think there needs to be a change in that public comment, the way it's handled.
Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir. State your name, please.
Craig McNally. I was just wondering, with the whole annexation thing, how hard would it be for me to annex my back lot out of the village? There's no water, there's no sewer, there's no nothing on the back lot. There's no way to get to it without going through the front lot.
So then if it's outside, that's kind of what I was saying before, if there's no access, you'd have to access through the village, right?
Yeah.
So really, it would just make it, I don't think that's possible, is it?
No, I mean, it's a different process. You're not talking about annexing, you're talking about disincorporating and going back to the township, and that's a different thing. And I'm not familiar with that specific process off the top of my head. That's something that you'd have to look into more.
No, where would I find that out? Because that's
I'm
something
a
you
little
can find
familiar
out.
with it.
You are?
We had people at the end of, what road do you live on? Ithaca Road, and they were already in the village, did not have water and sewer, and they decided they wanted to have water and sewer. So we got together the prices, and they actually said, yes, we still want it, and we had it engineered. And then when they found out what the real price was, they said no, and then they said, and we want out of the village. And we said, no, we don't let people out of the village, we only let people in. So that's kind of where that went, and I think we gave them some streetlights instead.
Because generally the villages expand.
Yeah, they
not
don't
shrink.
contract. I mean,
Right.
that's us giving up tax dollars.
Right.
And the chances of us doing that are real slim, especially to a piece of property that probably,
You would have to
I don't
access
know.
through the village.
yeah, do you have two separate properties there?
Separate lots.
Yeah, and they're both in the village.
Mhm.
Do they abut to the ones on either side?
One bus to the
Is there like a straight line back there and they're all in?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't
Well,
think
it's
we
not
do that.
exactly a straight line, but
Close enough? Does everybody's property on there go back to about the same place?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, we'd have to listen to it, but that's what happened the last time somebody tried to do it.
so how would I go about even talking to anybody? I mean,
We need a plot first, wouldn't we?
No, they have to get, I'm
Don't they
trying
have
to
to have the
think
village's
what I
permission?
gave them. I think they just petitioned they petitioned to get out, and we said no.
But we need to know exactly where that is.
Well,
and,
we knew all that because of everything we'd gone through before, so I don't know, because we
I mean,
had
on-
all of their drawings and stuff
But on
in
this
front
one
of
here,
us.
we would have to know exactly where it is and how it sits within the rest of the properties.
The process,
Yeah, and then,
The process is gonna be a legal process, it's gonna be dictated by state law, so most likely the General Law Village Act will have a section in there dedicated to disincorporation. So that would be the first place to start, would be the General Law Village Act.
just
you can
pull it
find
up
that?
on your computer, it'll tell you what to do.
thank you.
And it's called disincorporate, I think.
It should be disincorporation.
I was thinking it was called
dissolution.
de-annexing, but I don't think that's right.
I don't think so. It's something like disincorporation. Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, the parade, the Christmas parade. Who's providing all the food?
Churches,
Okay.
that they give out free chili and hot chocolate and whatever else they wanna.
Popcorn or,
Yeah.
some of them had sloppy joes.
Yeah.
And we'll probably
Can other
have
people
some.
provide too? I mean, can we get a
Anybody.
hold of them and?
You can
Well, I
give out
think they'd be
anybody.
willing to take you on.
Yeah, oh yeah,
absolutely.
they'd be willing to take on
We've got a
anything you wanna give them, sure.
there's a form that we'll be passing out for if you want to volunteer to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the same group that was in here before.
I just can't remember, because there was two different. There
Right.
was the teacher's husband,
No, but there was the
and then there
guy
was
from the church.
then the church.
Link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was two different
Link?
things of
Link.
food going.
Yeah,
Link.
Link.
Like from the
Yeah.
Lutheran, and then there's the Methodist church.
Yep.
Yeah, the Methodist church gave away, I think it was sloppy joe.
Yeah.
And there'll be vendors there too to buy
Yeah.
food from, and hopefully the
Yeah.
restaurants in the area will stay open.
Hopefully you'll have enough this time.
I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there was any danger of running or of having too much food.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no,
went out real
not at
early.
all.
Yeah.
No, that was a great time.
That all
Yeah.
went out fast,
It
that
was.
free food went fast.
Yep.
That's a great,
Um,
that's a great thing coming up.
Yeah, my public comment too, if everybody's done, any
Yep.
more?
Nope.
I got one more quick.
Go ahead, absolutely.
So we are getting help with all this. Did someone, want to, helping with $100 awards? Who's doing that?
That was given out by Union Court.
Oh, that's.
They gave
good.
us $400
Oh, my goodness.
Mhm.
to give out $100 awards for the best float in, I believe there are different
Four
categories.
categories, yeah.
And Christmas stockings.
Yeah, the church gives out Christmas stockings. I believe the Methodist church gave out Christmas stockings to the young children.
You had a meeting on this already.
Yes, we have several.
All year.
And the plan is to also do the Christmas trees downtown again
Yep.
on the light poles. That was a very popular addition
Yep.
to the
And that looked
streetscape.
really nice too.
And we're having in the coal miners park on the Friday before the parade, on the 30th, we're having lighting our Christmas tree again.
Okay. Is it bigger?
Yes, it is, got
Okay.
bigger, yeah, I can't reach the top anymore. And, hay rides and a petting zoo, and there'll be hot chocolate and hot cider and cookies. And I hope to have some games for the kids.
It's a lot
It's
of
just
fun.
gonna be a good time.
It was a great thing last year, and it looks like it's getting better this year.
Excited.
Anything else, Diane? No? Okay, my public comment is Beautification Day. Last week, Chris brought a good point up about the weeds and stuff that has been gathering in different spots of the village. And the more I thought about it, beautification is a beautiful thing. They gather up all the plants, they buy the flowers and
They
they
grow
put them in
them.
no, they don't.
What, they don't anymore?
No,
Okay.
they buy them and they put them in the hothouse and wait for the day where they can plant them. They have all these volunteers and the parents get out and the kids from the high school get out and they plant all these beautiful flowers and do all these good things. And then they forget about it. The beautification committee, I don't know what they do after that, but I don't know if I see them around taking care of the beds, but Mr. Holland isn't involved afterwards in it anymore, and I see all the flowers in front of the park. I see poison sumac growing in it. I see Queen's Anne lace growing in it. He used to always take care of that. We hire 4 girls from the high school to take care of all of that, and they come when they want to. They don't have to be there every day, and they don't, but there's only 4 of them that are paid by the DDA to come and take care of all of this.
All of town.
They ask people to adopt a bed.
Some
but-
have.
And some have, but not all of them. The pretty brick things on Bell Avenue, they've gone unattended this year. There's gobs of weeds growing up in them. All of our signs that have pretty beds with rose bushes in them. They're all weeded up. In front of the park is all weeded up. The 4 girls that worked this summer just cannot keep up. We get complaints. People go to the DPW. They get complaints about the village looking bad. I believe if the Beautification Day Committee cannot come up with a plan to pay someone to take care of these beds and keep them up, or they can't keep them up themselves, or find more people to help volunteer to keep them up, that maybe they should only plant like flowers along the curves like they did, and the 4 girls keep that up, and maybe plant some pretty flowering bushes in those areas where they don't have to weed flowers and try to keep that all up. And I'm just, it's looking real bad. And if we haven't got people to take care of it, maybe they shouldn't plant if they can't take care of them. I'm proud of what they do, but if they can't take care of them and just let it go, their committee is planting and then expecting other people to take care of them, which they can't. They're not taking care of what they're planting. Maybe they shouldn't plant them. Plant a pretty bush or a tree that's not going to grow up into the electric.
But then you have somebody that's
Thanks.
not gonna trim the bush. And then you
No,
have somebody
these
that's,
flowering bushes, they get big flowers on them and they don't grow up. They just
everything needs to
bush.
be maintained.
Well,
Everything needs to be maintained.
then I don't know what to tell you.
I know, I
It's
understand what you're
looking
saying.
bad.
I think we should invite Mr. Hollum and the committee before we make
I don't
any
think-
decision on
I don't
this.
think
at
he
all.
does it anymore.
not even here.
He's not doing it anymore.
Well, then we should contact the committee and invite them.
We should
Before
do
and see,
something.
maybe we should work something
Well, I
out
don't think we're
before
gonna
we,
do anything tonight, but I agree
Yeah.
with Marie, it looks bad.
I do too.
And we can't
really
expect
looks
the DPW guys to do that.
No, they got enough.
Sure we can.
And no.
I think we can.
No.
I think we can
No.
expect some of it. It
There-
worked
there's
before
only
when
4
Hal was
of 'em.
here. It worked when Pat was
Mr.
here.
Holland was doing it.
Not all of it.
Somebody was driving it.
Well,
And we just need
Mr.
somebody
Holland
to
was
drive
driving
it.
it. Mr. Holland was doing a
No.
lot of it.
But he did the park.
Yes.
Well,
Mr. Holland did not weed it
And
personally.
not all-
maybe
Oh,
he
yes,
was
did.
the drive
He did.
behind.
Well,
the
he
park.
did it, but there was
He did the
people
park.
with him, and
Maybe
Terry
he had-
Cornford helped him with the park the last 5-6 years.
Maybe he had the drive behind it, and now the drive is not there. Something's gone wrong.
There must be something that we could put in some of these spots that wouldn't need continual upkeep.
Or maybe they're gonna have to go someplace and get more volunteers or more money
You know,
from. I
something
mean, they
that
come
won't
up
take
with a whole mess of
continual
money and a whole mess of volunteers
it looked
to
nice.
do all this.
Yeah.
But
And I think
they-
it comes down to
they don't
what we've
continue
seen
it.
everywhere is that it takes a good leader.
And it takes money.
It takes a
It's-
good leader to make a
Somebody's
crew
gotta,
run.
Marie, I agree with you.
I don't know.
I agree with you 100%. I think over the years, Beautification Day has done really well, but they
Really?
have all these projects, more and more and more and more beds, more this, more that, and it has become overwhelming for the worker part. And I know our weeders do as much as they can, but I think if it can't be handled, all these projects need to shrink until, I'd rather have fewer and have it looking nice.
Yes.
And I know that over the years, all these things are wonderful, but if you can't keep it going, and I was also thinking, I know my grandkids do that, I think our school does it too. They have service hours, like when you said the weeders go back to school, Matt, so when do they end their job?
They usually end pretty much the week before. Well, if they're in sports, they stop whenever sports happens. They stop the week or two before school starts.
I know there are some groups, I don't know if our school still has it, but they have service hours where they have to work. I wonder if the school would say, all right, do you kids want to earn service credit? And clean up around town. They could do that in the fall to earn service hours. I don't know if that's possible or if our school does it. I know they used to.
Well, the National Honor Society has to do service hours, they're required.
Different
Yeah.
clubs,
Yeah,
scouts.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
would be
maybe
a
something
free
like that,
way
yeah.
to clean up things, and then the kids would earn the hours they need for service. And I thought they still did it, but,
Well, they're still required
Well,
to do.
it's a thought, Diane.
different
It's a
things,
thought, Diane,
but-
something to look into.
and I know it's overwhelming, and I know the DPW is busy. They used to do a lot more with the parks, but when you get this and this and this and this, it's too much.
Well, I know the DPW already hauls stuff for them, even before beautification day starts.
Yeah, they
Well,
always
before
have.
and
Always do.
after.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're
We
cleaning
do a
up,
lot of cleanup too.
yeah.
Do they?
And they do a
You
lot of
guys
cleanup.
do.
Yeah,
They walk
They
away
do.
on that day and they're pretty much done.
done.
Yes.
That's what
yes.
I'm talking about, they're done.
You've gotta go pick it
Anything
up.
that's
But there might
unfinished,
be-
they end up
Kathy has a
picking up.
No, I'm sorry, Kathy, you have a
Well,
question?
I'm just,
Oh.
I don't know if this sounds crazy or whatever, but if you're paying these kids to weed these flowers, why don't you take that, I'm just a suggestion, take that money and pay someone, like you said, we had a leader. There's enough people in this town, I think you could get together to volunteer at different times, you know what I'm saying? Pay someone to find some volunteers and keep track of those volunteers and make a schedule for these volunteers and make sure this gets done. I hate to see, you know, I mean, I like it the way it is, okay? I hate to see things pulled out and not put back because, for lack of.
But
Well,
there
I
are some,
understand what you're saying about having to take care of them, I certainly
Yeah.
understand that.
there are some things, and I don't know if we did over by where your mom's house is or not, but Doug had an idea, and wherever there were catch basins, you remember the catch basins we used to catch frogs out of and stuff? They planted some kind of water thing,
Rocks, like
and
a dry
plants
bed.
around,
Yeah.
and the first couple of years, the people whose yards they were in took care of them. Well, a lot of those people have died, and they're not, and it's just a big pile of weeds, so we should just take those out, put gravel around it again, and make it a catch basin.
I've
I mean-
never seen one around my.
Well,
house.
go over on Fulton and J Street, there's 4 of them.
Over by Rick's house on the corner.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yes,
huge.
yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
they're nothing but
Yeah.
weeds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've just grown, and they were pretty when they first put them in, and there was a name for them, and I think he got it out of
Is it
Michigan Municipal
Rain
League.
basin or
Rain
something?
garden?
with
Rain garden?
Yeah.
Didn't work, because now they're just all crazy.
And the
And
They
beautiful,
don't look
the
good that way.
beautification day did have people that would sign up. They had a list of places where you could adopt a garden.
Yeah.
And they used to have people that took care of them. Now, I don't know what happened this
Well,
year,
the Fields, the
It gets
Fields
hot,
kids on the
people
corner
don't
still
wanna do
takes
it.
care of his look
Yeah.
beautiful.
but even on Bell Avenue.
The one on your corner takes care of,
Yeah.
there's somebody that takes care of,
Scott's.
There's-
that's beautiful.
There's houses along there that have these pretty, block things with rose
They won't
bushes.
touch 'em.
And they're in front of houses and they don't even go out there and take care of that. And they're in
No,
front of
no, they don't.
houses, so
But you have to consider who lives there too. Maybe they're unable to do it.
Absolutely.
And a few people were upset because something was put there and they couldn't take care of it. So, and they had no say in it, so.
Do you think if they, and this is really off the wall, but I know we can't plant a lot of trees on Bell Avenue because of
because of
the
the electric
wires.
wires.
But that used to be the prettiest street in this town, if you guys all remember that. Those trees just covered
Oh,
that, and
yes,
it
it
was
was
just
beautiful.
gorgeous driving down through there. And then the ice storm came. But anyway, so if we can't plant big trees, why don't we plant little short trees that just go like this? There's not a lot of upkeep to those, they just sit there and keep going like that, those
They
upside
have
down, whatever they are.
Berries on them and stuff.
They have flowers and berries, and get rid of the stuff
And the birds
underneath,
eat
and
the
maybe
berries.
people will just mow around
be
them.
so
before you
negative.
guys-
I'm not negative. I'm just, the whole thing comes down to having a leader. Doug was a leader. He drove this. He called
Yeah,
people and
he's
said,
gone
hey,
now.
you know,
They're
so
gonna have to
whoever's
get
running the
another one.
committee, maybe, that's why I'm saying.
There's
before
another teacher that's a leader,
we
but
can get a hold of them and
she's-
say, hey, just maybe step it up and call these, you know, because all you have to do is call a volunteer, and sometimes they say, oh yeah, I'll get out there. A lot of people will say, I'll volunteer, but if you don't contact them, they never volunteer.
And they're willing to
When you're in their
contact when
face,
the weather's good,
sure,
but
they're
when
gonna be
it's
there.
100 degrees
I'll
out,
come pick you up.
I
You
can't
know, they'll
go.
be there.
you know,
pick up rocks or pull weeds or anything. You know, it just depends on what the weather is.
Oh,
How many things you have to take care of. I agree with the
Well,
ladies, a tree.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
like Kathy said, if you do less and take some of the money they have and pay for somebody who will organize
There.
it, you know, tell them.
That, does that money comes from the DDA? The
But they
four
get their
girls
own,
that are paid.
they get contributions, there's a list this long
yeah,
of
I know.
people
Oh, I
who
know.
contribute
But
to them
that's
every
to
year.
do the beautification, there's nothing
It
left
is.
at the end.
I know, that's what I'm saying, so do less, have
That's what
some
you
money
say,
left
right?
over.
Yeah.
And you could still use the kids from the school because, like you said, they do need those. I know some
They're
schools, I don't
happy.
know about St. Charles, but some schools require them to have so many community hours before they can even graduate.
Even the football
think they
players, the
do that here.
basketball players, that,
And that's a free way to do it, and the kids that do it are happy to get those hours.
But but the question is, in terms of motivation, are they going to do it every week for 20 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I think.
No, they're not.
No.
Not
Well,
volunteering.
and I don't mean just the
But there might-
kids in the school, I'm talking community-wide.
maybe some
I
of these
think that
kids
would
that
be
are
harder
breaking
to
and
get
entering.
community, But
Yeah.
Community service right there.
But anyway, I just want to mention that the first beautification meeting is tomorrow
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where are they at? The school?
at the school in the
Science room.
greenhouse room.
Yep, science room.
And I'll be going to that. So
Well, I'll go with you if you don't mind.
Alright.
I'll go with you. Okay, I guess that's my banter.
And I
Any
agree
other?
with you. Do less so that it can be kept up better.
I agree.
Talk to them.
And I would say that the system that was in place with I call them HAMs, the hydration and maintenance specialists, it has been pretty loosey-goosey pretty much the whole time. It is possible to start out the season by telling them that they have to work X number of hours and
Do you
cracking
think
down.
it would be anything to, maybe this beautification committee could put out to the DDA and ask them for more money?
That
I don't
would be
think it's a
up to
money
them.
issue though. I really don't. I think they have, I mean, they've got funds left over every year.
Do they?
I don't know how much.
They have a
I thought
little.
that was all gone.
They usually have a little bit, but
They have to have,
Oh.
they have some to roll over so they can grow plants, buy the.
I think
buy
the issue
equipment,
is that there's not a
planters.
green thumb out there
Yeah.
pulling them along anymore.
And
think that's part of it.
Right now, like you said, if you're gonna go to that meeting, that's great because.
Well,
find
I
out
want the
who's-
backing of how the
Something
council
needs to be
feels about it. I didn't want to have this feeling and not
No,
have
no,
the
no.
backing of all, how we feel about it.
The other,
I think they need to know how we feel about it when they start planning all of these other projects that they wanna do. And it's like, look, can we just go to the projects that really, really worked and looked great and keep them up, is what we're looking for.
the other thing is if they were to identify the places that needed to be absolutely maintained every week at the same time, all the time. If paying for the kids doesn't work, maybe we could hire a landscaping company to do it. I don't know if it's worth doing that in terms of how much it would cost, but if that's a priority for them and us, then it might be worth having professionals do it. If volunteers every week at the same time, all the time, extra when it rains because the weeds come up faster, I don't think it's feasible to have kids volunteering to do that. We barely get the kids to do it when we pay them, and they're the good kids. So,
But I do think the biggest problem with that is that I don't know who's running it now. I haven't been to the meetings,
Some teacher, I think.
but,
Well, Lori Orr puts the
you
stuff out
know,
all
yeah, I
the
know,
time.
she does a
this is
lot.
this
She
is
does a lot,
yeah.
and she grows a lot of the plants herself in her
They don't grow 'em
greenhouse, yeah.
anymore,
But,
from what I was told.
Well, she does, I think, in her yard.
yeah.
She's got them everywhere.
Oh, yeah, but even after the fact, you need somebody that's gonna make that call and say, hey, you know, why don't we go up, you know, when can you meet me up there? And that's what Doug used to do. He used to call people and say, hey, I'm going up there next week, what, can you meet me? And who's gonna say no? I mean, half the time they're like, yeah, I had something else planned, but that's how you get your volunteers, is you drive them.
I mean,
People don't
look-
volunteer unless you drive them.
Look at that corner by Frank's and Horgers there. It's got a big old tree growing in it.
Yeah, I agree, it needs to look better, I
But the
do.
thing on the corner looks good.
Yeah, Mary Smith took care of that.
Yes, one
But I
person
also
took
feel
care
that
of
we
it.
have a lot of makeup to do because we didn't have a leader on the DPW for a while, and they were scrambling to just make everything work. And we're catching up on that still.
But
So-
if the beautification day is gonna do all this stuff, it should not be our DPW that cleans up after them or takes care of it. They gotta come
But
up with
it
something.
is. Maybe
No,
you can
I
give
don't
them the
think so.
idea of no
They
more.
got too much to do.
They've always done it.
We've done it before, we've done it.
They
You
have.
want, you
Always
want the
done it.
DPW to weed?
No, get them ready and clean
Well,
up
yeah.
after.
Oh, yeah.
Help,
Get
yeah,
'em
do
ready.
that, absolutely, yeah.
Help them on that
That's
day.
all we do.
But that's
Yeah,
not
that-
their
yeah.
But
responsibility to
before the
weed.
parades and the carnivals and the festivals, the DPW was always out there.
Right.
They were
I'm
always-
saying before to help and after, but not weed and take care of the beds and
Right,
stuff. It's not
right.
their responsibility.
I agree
Okay.
with you.
I'm done.
When you
I got
go-
one other thing.
Okay.
Real quick.
I'm sorry.
I've been approached by both sides on the dog issue. If anybody wants to speak.
Yeah, what's becoming of
What have you, first tell us what you have been approached on both sides.
Chuck has approached me and said they're still breeding, and I was approached after the meeting last month, right when I was walking out, and you said you're not. But I also was told by you that you were told you're not allowed to file complaints.
Yeah, they were
They were filing random complaints that had nothing to do with anything.
I have the pictures that I filed.
So I told them if they're gonna file complaints, they have to be relevant and they have to be real, or else don't file them.
You told me to put up cameras.
I did. I did.
You did, and I have the pictures.
So once you have the pictures, have you filed a complaint? Have you done anything
Yes, I
since?
did.
With-
Pictures of what? You told them to put up the cameras of, take pictures
I think
of
yours
what?
were showing harassment.
Of his dogs wandering all over. Matt's going and complaining to other people about their dogs not being on a leash. His isn't either, which I proved.
My dog's been
And
on a
then
leash
the
for 6
neighbor-
months.
The neighbor did come and file, we'll talk to the police about everything that they know, what he said. And Matt didn't do nothing about that, he didn't even show up at the meeting, which we asked him to be there.
There was a meeting with,
A meeting.
Officer Jamie.
This was in like January. And I had a meeting in Saginaw.
Yes, you had a meeting.
Okay,
but
so-
You never talked to him afterwards, which we asked you to.
I spoke with him afterwards. I'm not sure what you're getting at. I don't understand the complaint. As far as I'm concerned, the dog issue is dead. I haven't received a complaint
That's
in
what we thought
months.
until the cops keep showing up constantly.
When was the last time a police officer came?
Month and a half ago.
Okay, so that's not constant.
Well, they've been there over 10 times this year. So I say that's constant to me. It's actually harassment.
It's more
But
than
they're
me
there all
calling
the
them,
time.
and if you have 10 calls, it's more than me.
I don't have 10 dogs.
now are you breeding
I'm
dogs?
not breeding, I have not had
There's
a
no
litter.
puppies at your property?
No, my litter, it wasn't my litter, it was Erica's litter, and it was at her house in Shields. And I went and took care of them, they were on my site, they were at her house. On
On-
my Facebook site.
On your Facebook, but you haven't had no puppies on your,
No, as soon as I
patches
posted
of
them on
puppies or?
Facebook, the cops showed up. And I put right on Facebook, these are not my puppies, they are Erica's, they're in Shields. I sold the dogs to her 3 years ago, they were puppies from me.
You never had no puppies?
No.
So,
How do you know she had puppies with you over
You
there?
can hear them over there.
so as far as
I can see it dragging
Hold
them
on.
down.
There's 7 other litters around surrounding me right now.
Okay, we're not gonna argue, we're
Could you hear
discussing.
those litters and not mine?
We're discussing,
Jim, have you got that paper I gave you?
we're discussing.
So as far as we have been concerned, we were under the impression that this matter was taken care of.
That's what I thought.
We're not pursuing any kind of action against the McNallys. We have investigated all of the complaints that we've received, and we have come to no conclusions. We were done. Now, the next step, and the chief and I have talked about this, and what we would like to suggest to you is that you take a moment, stop for a second, take a breather, and we are willing to meet with mediators through the Saginaw County Court District. So this is actually the perfect opportunities to bring this up. We have researched a community resolution center at the Saginaw County Courthouse that we would like to facilitate bringing you guys through, if you're willing, because this has to stop. The village is in the middle of some sort of personality conflict, and there's no place for that. There's no evidence that you're breeding puppies. We've looked. The police chief has been on the property, found no evidence of puppies. We've investigated all the complaints on both sides. Nothing ever comes of it. We have no physical, video, audio evidence that proves anything, and we're just in a back and forth situation. So what we'd like to do is bring in a third-party mediator to kind of get to the bottom of this, if you guys are willing to do that. Are you willing to do that? Because we can't do this anymore. Do it.
They can't be operating a business in a residential area.
For all intents and purposes, there's no evidence that that's happening, and we need to get to the bottom of it. I don't think the puppies is the problem. I don't think the business is the problem, but we need somebody trained in conflict resolution to get to the bottom of the problem. So I'm asking you guys to join us and do that.
He just
Sure.
said no
Yes.
business in residential, so that's there's absolutely no businesses in residential at all, any kind of business?
No. That's not the conversation that has been had.
Well, that's what he just said, so that's why I'm asking.
I understand that's what he said, but the problem has been a zoning issue, not a business and
And I know
residential area.
that,
Okay.
but there's also people seated on the council who is telling other people that it's okay to have one litter.
What has happened in the past doesn't matter. I think what we need to do now.
This is now. They have the
Exactly.
They have the litter now.
Who has a litter?
I'm not saying, I'll say
Okay.
it in court.
Okay.
If I-
We're not going to court. What I'm talking about is a facilitator to get a conversation going without arguing, because I think there's no moving past whatever it is that is going on between you guys. The village is in the middle. We don't need to be. So.
It's just a neighbor fight, that's all it is, but the only thing that's gonna make it worse is a puppy complaint.
Right, and we
It
have.
has actually nothing to do with dogs. It's a neighbor fight with a neighbor.
Okay. So this
Between the
is
two.
this is kind of the final thing for me, anyways. We need to do this resolution, this conflict resolution.
What do you have to lose?
There's nothing
Yeah.
to lose.
I mean, really, what do you have to
You guys don't have to end up
You-
being best friends, but you gotta live together.
Gotta live in the same place.
So I'm asking you to do that. That's kind of the last thing. There's nothing else that we're gonna do. We're not gonna sit around writing tickets all day. We're not gonna continue to investigate frivolous complaints. We don't wanna end up having the police go to some sort of savage fight in the middle of the road. What we need is conflict resolution. And we need a professional to do that, because clearly it's not gonna happen here. So if you guys are willing to do it, we'll get to the point where you guys can sit down and hash it out. And let that be the end of it, because it's a frustration that's just been continuing for like 2 years. There's been
2 years, it's been 6 years.
well, here at the council it's been 2 years, so this is not a place for it anymore. So that's kind of the final answer.
If we do this, can my attorney be present?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think if, once we start the process, we can talk about what happens. Talk about the
Because
process.
he is leaving messages on my Facebook stuff now, so.
Okay.
That's becoming a whole different thing.
that's a whole different thing. This is this. You can bring that stuff up in that session and talk about it, hash it out. Bringing this stuff up in public is more than inappropriate at this point. So this is the sort of thing that we can talk about with a trained person who knows how to de-escalate the situation and get to the root of the problem. Because I don't think what we're talking about here every month is the actual problem. It is a manifestation of something else. So we need to get to the root.
I only asked Jim, when you told me I couldn't turn in any more complaints, after he told me to put up the cameras, which I did.
Okay.
So that's why I asked him, because he's the one who said you need to put up cameras, and I did, and I have all these pictures.
And
that's fine.
And what he's saying, and this is the best. I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, it's Occam's razor. It's the easiest possible solution, easiest path. You know.
And
Yeah.
Chuck said yes.
He said yes. Yeah, he said yes.
So I think it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, but I think this is probably the best way to get to the whatever best solution there is.
And if it doesn't work, you're not out anything. You're still right at the same point you're at right now, but greater chance. I mean, you got a greater chance of hitting a deer with the arrow in the air. You know, you just gotta take a chance. So I would say go to the meeting and
I got no problem.
yeah.
My only issue is probably gonna be timing, if there's any way you can try to schedule certain times.
We'll have to work with the conflict resolution folks at the courthouse. You know, we can work through that. People who are familiar with the process, we can schedule time and we'll make it work. But I think the point is we just want to make it work. And it isn't going to be facilitated by me. It's probably not going to be facilitated by anybody that you have ever met. And that's the point. Is they're going to be trained in dealing with it, de-escalating the situation, getting to the root of the problem. Because it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen at home. It's not going to happen here at the village office. So that's my offer to you guys, and I'll help you as far along in the process as you can. The chief can help as far along in the process as we can. But at the end of the day, it's going to be you guys being willing to come to the table and figure out whatever problem you guys have. This isn't a problem with us. It's a problem between individuals, and I have no patience anymore of being in the middle. It's not something that I think we're equipped with here. So I will reach out to you guys individually, and we'll talk more about it. But I just wanted, I do, yes. So I just wanted to offer that as a avenue to go down, because right now we're at a dead end. So, okay, all right, I'll reach out to you guys.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?